Okay, I think we're ready to start. Thank you guys for coming and staying. And the sermon was wonderful, but I promise we won't make you uncomfortable. Someone was mentioning that. So my wife always makes me write down. My name is Susan Moon. My pronouns are she, her. I am the board president right now, and I am very late middle-aged and have long white hair. And I am today wearing the new OUUC shirt that some people have been wearing to protests. And if you notice, it says Olympia Unitarian, and then Lee added a lovely part of the design. So this was designed recently because we figured we're going to end up being out in public a lot. And you can order it. There's a sheet. Sorry. And you can order it. There's a sheet up in the Commons. So you can order it online. If you need help with the QR code, somebody younger than you can help you. Okay. So we are here today. We called it We Are Growing Now What? The board has been doing a lot of work on governance, which I know makes all of you very excited to hear. But really, governance is what makes organizations work well and what makes them make efficient decisions. And so we've been really trying to make sure that our governance makes it easy for us to work as an organization. And the book that we've been kind of following about church organization and how to make it function well had talked about that you need to come up with kind of your vision of ministry, and then what he calls a big question. And we kind of did things a little differently. Usually you do all those things and then you develop your governance model. And we did the governance model first. And so now we're going back to develop our vision of ministry. We do have a lovely vision document, so the church definitely has a vision. But we've been talking a lot about kind of what I think of as the balcony view. So if you stand above and look down, where are we at now? Where are we going in the future? And making sure that we're putting things in place now that think about the future. So the first thing we did on the next slide. Oh, good. We had a board retreat and we talked about what we really think the pillars of OUUC are. So what are the things that we feel as if the church is organized around? And we came up with these three things, and I have to give Arlene Collerick credit for creating this graphic. And so we decided the three pillars for us are reconnection, identity, and community care. And you can see the smaller words, and this is also online. Identity involves grappling with who we are now and learning emotionally, spiritually, and relationally. Reconnection is making sure that we are reconnecting with each other. We've had 5 ministers in 7 years, I think, and so that's always a lot of change, and now is a great time for us to kind of come back together. The pandemic changed the whole society. So all of those things have led to some reconnection. We are purposefully identifying community partners we can work with. And part of what we even want to talk about and think about here, obviously with the things that are going on in the US in politics, it's a time when we're going to be called on to support other people and to provide safe community. And so we really want to make sure that that community care piece is there and that we are set up to serve people well, because we're going to have to serve people in the future and have to protect people and have to make them feel as if they have a safe place to come. So that's how we started kind of with what our vision was. And then the congregation was then the board was supposed to kind of come up with one question. And I'm going to talk about our big question, but I want to emphasize that it is all of us. It's not just the board. This is a question that we are all going to use throughout this year. We're going to say, does this serve what we want to do? If not, should we change it? How should we prioritize? And we're going to have several more forums because we need you to tell us. You guys are the best barometer of how things are working, what we need to change, what we need to improve. And so this is something that we're all engaged in together. So this is the first of several times we'll talk about this. We ended up, he recommends, the person that wrote the book, recommends one or two, John?
Let's wait for a microphone really quick. You have someone run the microphone so we can have the people online for the questions.
Is this on?
Yeah, so John has a question.
Thank you.
What is the book?
The book is Governance and Ministry, and it's by Hotchkiss is the author. And we have been reading it a lot, and it's definitely about governance. It can be exciting if you care about organizational stuff, and also it's not exciting if you would rather be outside. So, but he's also done a lot of videos, which the UUA has online in their leadership training. So that's an easier way for me to get the information. And he said, the way that you achieve this balcony view is coming up with one big question, and then whether you're deciding if the toilets need to be fixed or if the light bulbs need to be changed, you also then can stand up and say, yes, but what are we going to do next year? How are we going to make sure that we're serving whatever our purpose is? And that's what the question is for. And we ended up coming up with just one big question. We thought initially, because we've been doing this in the last few months, I think we thought our question might be, do we want to grow? And because attendance has increased so much because people are so stressed, we've had higher attendance in worship than we've had ever. The Thursday night dinners are highly attended. And so we decided our question is actually, how shall we adapt to being a bigger congregation? Because it's not really a question for us, we're already here. So we want to talk about what's the best way to do this and how do we move forward and make sure that we're making great decisions. There are 3 seeds to this that are important to this church. One of them is, who have we been? We have a lot of history, a lot of different kinds of leadership, a lot of people that have been here a long time, and a lot of new people. So it's important to talk about who we've been, who we are right now, and then where we're going. And we're not going to be able to get there if we don't have a clear idea of where we're trying to go. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I am going to light the chalice because I forgot that. And then we're going to split into 2 groups. And what I'm hoping you'll think about is not only how the church can move forward, but each of us is the church. And so we're hoping that people can really think about what they could do themselves as we are growing, as we have new people, how you greet new people, what's the best way to talk to new people, and how to get people engaged, because I don't think people often come and want to just sit and listen to the sermon and then go home. People are looking for a place of safety and family, which is why I think the Thursday dinners are so popular. So what can we do to encourage people, to let them know the information, to allow new people to know where to engage? And so I'm hoping that when we come back together at the end of this discussion, we'll all have some new ideas about what we can each do to make our church the best that it can be, and how we can make sure that this growth is managed well, and that we give these people that are new a place to relate and to be here and feel safe. So we are going to just split into 2 groups. I don't want to count off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. Okay, so let's have the back row and this side be one group, and then everybody else be another group. And we're just going to talk about this. You'll have pads of paper to write about, and then we're going to come back in 30 minutes and talk about what we learned. And this is one of many forums. The other thing I wanted to say, I'll tell you that afterwards. Sorry, I have a lot of cold medicine, and it's making me funny. So if we'll just split into 2 groups, that'll be great. And I will light the chalice as you guys are gathering in your 2 groups. And there's going to be another group online, and so we'll have input from them as well. So it sounded like you guys all had great discussions, and we wrote down a lot. And I just wanted to let you know that not only is this the first of these, but we're going to recap the information we get and put it in the newsletter or do something so that you get to see what we talked about and what we will move forward with. And again, this won't be your only time to have input. So thank you for coming today. I was hoping we could have a little bit of a discussion about what your main points ended up being for a few minutes. And online, I think they're gonna, I have heard from my wife who's helping online facilitation that one thing they wanted to say is that Zoom matters to a lot of people. So I'm saying that, and hopefully if they have something else they want to say, they can put it in the chat. The other thing I want to say before I forget is they're up here on the front seat. Reverend Mary had us make 2 handouts, and this is so that you can know who to contact when you are interested in things. This one that's all the colors is the chart of how OUUC is organized, which sounds like a governance thing, but in fact lets you know where the youth program lives, or what the Board of Trustees talks about. So this is something that can give you information about, if you have an idea, you know who to talk to. And this is the OUUC contact list that tells you who's in Faith in Action, who does adult education, who to contact if you want to help with a Thursday dinner. And so these are both going to be online as well, but these are great resources to just know who to get in touch with. Keto?
Oh, thank you. I had a comment when you said Zoom matters. This is keto, by the way. There was 40 people today online during the service. 40 to 55 is very common.
Yeah.
So they're there. It's very important to a lot of people. So it's.
And there are people that cannot get out of the house. So it's for people who could not choose to come, which is helpful. So first group, Arlene and Sally, do you have anything that you thought was surprising when it came up, or?
Well, yes, our takeaways were a lot of the old traditions from when we were smaller, the feelings that those generated, the feelings of community. We'd like to get those captured in some new traditions. And also that we would really like to connect to kids more. In the congregational life, to connect with children more, so we're truly intergenerational. And then we also want to, other ways to connect to people who've dropped a stone at Joys and Concerns. Offer help to a parent who's struggling. And then talking about our bylaws and membership requirements. Are they exclusionary? Are they gatekeeping? Are they bureaucratic? Are we too focused on money, and what about love? Now, at certain times of the year, this may seem that there's a lot of focus on it. And folks have come from faith traditions where supporting a faith community is done very differently than we do it. And then does a larger congregation equate to more costs? What are the costs? And be mindful, and we should be willing to spend more, perhaps. And then we are also talking about expanding beyond the usual suspects, the volunteer class of people who, because they do things for the congregation, are always asked to do more, and then more, and then more. So the same person expanding the pool, bringing in folks, mentoring new folks, getting them involved in volunteer opportunities in the congregation.
Thank you. Carbon, does the online group have anything else they wanted to convey?
Nothing has been typed yet.
Okay. Dieter?
Okay, can you hear me? I'm not used to using these. I'm usually loud enough. So, good to see everyone online today and just be everybody here. So, as typical UUs, we kind of did our own thing. And we really talked about, because a lot of the people hadn't been here very long. I just returned to the congregation in the last 5 or 6 years, and a lot of people here are relatively new. So we talked about, well, what brought us here and what's kept us here. And that's what we wanted to focus on, because we want to build on that, because that's who we are and kind of where we came from, which was being a social justice leader. We really liked self-determination, covenant, not doctrine. You know, we aren't being forced to do things, you come here. And we really liked how non-clingy and cliquey and welcoming we are here. You walk in, people say, hello, what's going on? Welcome, can we help you? How can you do this? How can you get involved? Very inclusive to just about everybody. We can have online options. You can come live, you can come in person. We don't care. Dress how you want, look how you want, be here. And we all love that. We want to build on that. Willingness and open to change through conversations like this, through education, through spending time. You know, we don't try to hold all the power in one little group. We all want to be involved and have opportunities. So you can be involved how you want, when you want, and where you want, right? You can go and do those things. We also really love the music. It keeps people here, which was neat, because when I was a kid, we didn't really have that, and it's really wonderful. I'm glad someone brought that up. And we really wanted to keep that strength, right? And how do we do that as we expand as an organization, as we evolve as an organization in this kind of chaotic world that we're in right now? And so then we talked about the key things that we thought that would help us. One is we really want to integrate people. We're great at welcoming, but then sometimes people aren't sure what to do next. How do I get involved? Where do we go? I mean, we got these sheets now, so people kind of have an idea of what's happening out there. So really connect to the action team, follow up after welcoming, increase communication with visitors, and get people involved. You know, because it's kind of confusing. Even for me as a board member, I'm like, who does what? Really? Oh, that's cool. You know, so how do we do that better? We want to expand childcare and youth programming. Get people more volunteered, get it happening. Maybe have a summer program. We got to figure out a way to get more kids engaged, especially a lot of other religious organizations have whole summer programs. And that's how they get kids involved, which gets parents involved and kind of expands and really serves the whole family and the whole community much better. Expanding on that, that was very specific. We want community involvement. Out recruiting, we want to get outreach. Use media. How can we adapt to the new media environment and see if we can get our word out there about the wonderful place that we are and the accepting place that we are, especially in a world that some people are less accepting than they used to be. So how do we get that out there? Maybe booths at community events, do some partnerships, which is we're already doing with OSHO for our board for the auction and all the things that we're doing. We're integrating ourselves into newer groups and doing things. And then capacity, we hadn't quite got to yet. So how do we create more space and how do we get more of what's happening? We've already got 2 services, so how do we end online, but how do we keep expanding and looking? And we ran out of time, unfortunately, because we had such a great conversation. So.
Okay, so thank you all. You did a wonderful job. I want to say a couple things. One thing that Reverend Mary said that I thought was helpful to us as we were greeting new people, that we have had a few members who are new have somebody come up and say, oh my God, we're so glad you're here. You're young. You can do this. Could you help with this? Can you help? Try not to do that. Try to meet people and talk to them as if you're getting to know them. And her other recommendation that I thought was pretty brilliant was, it can seem overwhelming to new people because we have a lot of things going on. I mean, if you look at this, it can seem a little overwhelming. So what you can help people do is find one thing they're passionate about. There are people that never, ever, ever want to stand in front of anybody, but will garden for 4 hours with no problem. So encourage people to think of one thing that they love, and they will meet people like themselves doing that. So that's a good way to to help new members and to greet new people. The other thing that Tammy pointed out to me today, so you guys know that these are all recorded, so you can go back and listen to every sermon there was for the last few years. They're online. The other thing that's online are the other forums. There was a Faith in Action forum that talked all about what our Faith in Action Committee is doing, how you can serve, how you can do outreach to groups that you're interested in. And you can go listen to that forum anytime you want to. And there was another forum that was to know your rights. And Tammy said that that specifically was very distressing, but also very helpful. So knowing how you are able to help people can be very useful. So remember, you can look at all that stuff online and find it and listen to it. We will definitely have another forum, and we will talk to you guys. We'll send out something written so that you can see what everybody ended up with and what the online group talked about. Pardon?
Also, Reverend Murray does want to speak a little bit about that.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Reverend Mary, do you want to talk now?
Sure, thank you, Susan. We had 2 online groups, so I was in the second one, and I just wanted to share what the group I was in spoke about. I'll do that briefly. The first discussion we had was about questioning whether we really are growing, and the difference between Sunday morning attendance, which clearly indicates we're growing, and membership, which has been pretty stable, and using Sunday morning as a better measure. We talked about engaging new members and helping them get integrated into the congregation. The questions about how we use our space and if we're using it as effectively as possible and if we have enough. In addition, we talked about staff capacity and the energy around a new position proposed for next year focused on member engagement. We talked about training for welcome and how we can be best at our welcome. And there was a suggestion that it be a requirement of membership that that members volunteer on a committee or a team. And that was our discussion. Thank you.
Anything else for the good of the group? Yes. Oh, does she have a microphone?
Yeah, thank you. And I was tentative, is it on? Yes. Okay, about even bringing it up. But I remember decades ago, there were a group of us that were assigned to call an elderly person once a week. And, you know, someone would call him or her every week, every day, to make sure that, you know, they weren't able to come very much anymore. But it was, we talked a lot in our group, we talked a lot about children. But now I'm at the other end of the spectrum, and I'm thinking, you know, we need to, I know a number of older people who just never come.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure they're online. Zoom is a great thing, but it's, yeah.
I think Beth had her hand up too. Dieter has a microphone. Arlene.
So the pastoral care team, when COVID hit, we had a list of all of the members, and we were making calls, and many of you probably remember that. And we are talking about now doing actually just what you're talking about, Margaret, talking with people who are older. And we're trying to find a good route to help people self-identify with loneliness, so that we can follow up with that or with them and talk with them too. But that's in the planning stages. The calling is in the planning too, but I'm sure we will do that. We just are figuring it out. So
Okay.
Thank you for that input. That really helps. We know we need it.
Thank you. And then Carbon, I think this will be our last comment.
Yes, we have a couple people online, so you could tell Reverend Mary and Jeff to go ahead.
So go ahead, Reverend Mary and Jeff.
Thank you, Susan. Just one thing to note. Thank you, Beth, for noting what the pastoral care team is doing. The issue of youth came up, and I just want to let you all know that Reverend Sarah and Anissa will be doing 4 weeks of summer camp this summer to engage our youth. One of them is in collaboration with United Churches, and so I really think they're serving our families and our youth well.
Yeah. Sam Starr and I were in the facilitating the other online group because we had so many people, and I'll be very brief and not cover everything, but we focused mostly on where we're going. And one thing that I thought was very refreshing was one of our groups said, "I can't wait. I'm just excited to see what happens." And it was kind of like, well, you don't necessarily have to always plan for everything to happen. You can just embrace it as it comes. For example, we talked about COVID. We embraced it. We adapted. And there's going to be some other things down the road that we will have to embrace or adapt. So we have to really be flexible. And one thing, concrete thing that was suggested was, have a bigger presence in downtown Olympia, that may be providing a storefront to provide services to people and be a little more visible that way. Anyway, and Sam, if you have other thoughts, go ahead.
No, I think you covered pretty much everything on it, which I thought was pretty helpful. So.
Yeah.
Part of going to protests and wearing your shirt makes us visible and people know what side we identify on. So again, that's why new or old shirts, doesn't matter which one. And it's this color because the UUA picked this color because people notice it. So thank you all so much for spending your time. I appreciate all of the discussion we've had. And I'm gonna, I guess, extinguish the chalice. Did you have one last comment?
I noticed the signs on the doors today about the ice. I noticed the signs on the doors today about the ice and telling them they can't come in. I think this would be very valuable information for the public to know that we're like that. And I think we should toot our own horn more often.
Yeah, that's great. And again, you can watch the Know Your Rights and find out how far you can help in public. That forum is online. Alex, did you have your hand up? No, okay, thank you so much. And this will be one of several more. We really appreciate your presence and your voice.